Hello everyone and welcome to the center of the universe. Well, it was certainly a big week in universe action once again here within the WWE, and it is time to take you through some of the biggest moments that took place over the past 3 shows as we head towards King of the Ring. Starting with the red brand, Monday Night Raw certainly had plenty to take into account, especially surrounding its biggest group on the brand. The Raw General Manager Sting would make his way out, addressing the crowd and using the opportunity to welcome the winner of the first ever Women's Royal Rumble match, that of course being Trifecta's Rhea Ripley. The crowd and Sting were certainly full of excitement, wondering if we would hear the decision that very evening. But we wouldn't even see Rhea Ripley, as the leader and Raw Women's Champion Tessa Blanchard would make her way out instead, suggesting that Sting had not gone through the proper channels to get this organized, and that there was no way that Rhea Ripley would even be in the building on this evening, or for that matter, for the next few weeks. As a celebration for winning the Women's Royal Rumble, Trifecta and Tessa Blanchard had organized a holiday for Rhea Ripley to take. How convenient it felt, given everything that seems to be going on in the air within Trifecta. Blanchard would close out her rebuttal, though, by saying that Rhea Ripley would make her decision in her own time. Seems as if she's got quite the controlling hand on Trifecta. And that was not the only instance involving Trifecta that took place on Monday Night Raw. In our first ever edition of Off the Air, we got to see a behind-the-scenes scoop on Monday Night Raw, an interaction between Tessa Blanchard and Jazzy Gabert. Gabert, still showing evident frustrations at what happened at the Women's Royal Rumble, suggested that Tessa Blanchard had to put things right by a certain way, alluding maybe to a match with Rhea Ripley. Instead, what she got was Jordynne Grace stepping up to the face of Blanchard, demanding the match with Gabert as her way of looking for revenge after the elimination at the Royal Rumble that she received. Blanchard would accept on behalf of Gabert, but it would be Gabert who would blindside the Mae Young Classic winner, laying her out and allowing Trifecta to walk all over her before their matchup next week. Elsewhere, the push for King of the Ring would continue on, with Monday Night Raw determining the first 2 of its 3 spots of that tournament on this very evening. The first of which would go to the flamboyant Juice Robinson, picking up a massive upset win over Shinsuke Nakamura, countering a Kinshasa into Pulp Friction to get the 3 count over the former World Heavyweight Champion. One of the biggest wins of Juice Robinson's career, and a chance to cement himself in a historic tournament awaits itself. However, it was our main event that caught all the eyes and the attraction once again, as 2 of the world's best athletes went toe-to-toe with one another, and a fantastic ending we bear eyes on. AJ Styles seeming to finish off Pete Dunne, only to get caught out of the air with a forearm before a new move in Pete Dunne's arsenal led into the bitter end. Bloodied he may have been, and 1 move away from defeat, the Bruiserweight overcame the Phenomenal One and cemented his place in the King of the Ring tournament. Elsewhere on SmackDown, the push for the main event of WrestleMania continued on in another way, as the WWE Champion Tommaso Ciampa got his own back against the Saviors for the involvement of Ricochet at the closure of last week's SmackDown. Distracting Roderick Strong during his tag team matchup against the Good Brothers, Ciampa would get everyone's attention within the group, Ibushi standing face to face with him, and Strong being distracted long enough for Carl Anderson to connect with the gun stun and to lay him out for the count of 3. Nothing was said, and not a hand was laid on any member of the Saviors, but it was evident to see that the job had been well done from Ciampa in his eyes, and revenge for last week was sealed. Talking of revenge, we were in for a high-octane bout on SmackDown later on that evening between Nikki Cross and Asuka, who had got in each other's face at the Royal Rumble. They continued their fight on SmackDown, though there were certainly no plans on bringing it to an end, as both women would fight into the crowd for a count of 10 and continue fighting after the bell as well. However, it was not these 2 women that closed out that moment, rather the arrival of Sasha Banks towards the ring as Cross and Asuka were fighting in the crowd. Sasha Banks' declaration was very simple. sending a message to a certain someone about her elimination from the Women's Royal Rumble, and saying that the next time the blue brand was in Canada, she would be waiting for this individual. It should go without saying who Sasha Banks is alluding to, and if that is the case, what does the boss want with one of the all-time legends of women's wrestling? And speaking of legends, we were treated to a legendary main event on SmackDown between Keith Lee and the Hangman Adam Page to see which of the two men would go to King of the Ring. Despite being at an obvious height and weight disadvantage, that would not stop Hangman Page from giving one of the fights of his life, looking to overcome what had happened at the Royal Rumble. However, Keith Lee showed just what he is made of, kicking out of the rite of passage and the buckshot lariat. Hangman Page had used some clever tactics throughout the contest. However, at the end, he would let his anger get the best of him, removing the turnbuckle pad in an attempt to finish off the Limitless One. This was met with a negative reaction from the crowd who had cheered Hangman for most of the contest, but the plan would turn against him. With Lee in the corner, Hangman came charging in, but collided into the turnbuckle post himself head first, allowing Lee to catch the opportunity and connect with the Spirit Bomb to go on to King of the Ring. Hangman Page had asked for the contest, but in the end, it was not to be for him, as a massive athlete was added to King of the Ring, and arguably, on paper, the favorite as well. Moving on to ECW to close out the week, it was once again King of the Ring that took center stage at the opening and the closure of the show, as Chad Gable and Jonathan Gresham would treat us to a truly fantastic technical matchup that was full of world-class reversals and incredible submission attempts between the both men, trying to get the victory over the other. Both men would withstand each other's signature submission offense, breaking out of the holds, and when he found an opening, Chad Gable would make the most of it, connecting with the Chaos Theory on Gresham and qualifying for the King of the Ring. Bret Hart had asked for this opportunity to prove what Gable was made of, and the new look Chad Gable had certainly cemented that he belongs within the new foundation. Elsewhere, it was the same old story as it has been for a number of months on ECW. Backstage at the opening of the show stood Hiroki Goto and Tomohiro Ishii, armed and ready for any potential invasion from LIJ. However, it would be the assistant general manager to ECW and Kurt Angle who would tell both men that there was no need to be here this evening, as LIJ were not anywhere to be found, not only within the building, but the entire state, so it was seemed to be believed at first. Despite their thirst for revenge, Kurt Angle would promise that he would give it to them, and that there would be a time that this would all come to an end. Unfortunately, it would lead into our main event of the evening, as we witnessed another incredible contest between two fantastic athletes, the Viper Randy Orton and Dominik Dijakovic. It was a tale of Randy Orton looking to connect with the three most deadly letters in all of wrestling, after numerous RKO attempts were denied by Dijakovic. On the other hand, Dijakovic could not connect with the Feast Your Eyes whenever he looked for it, but Orton always seemed to be one step ahead in terms of wanting to put the contest away, as we would see at the closure of the match, when Orton would set up Dijakovic on the top rope for an avalanche RKO. The crowd stood on their feet as he prepared the maneuver, only for Dijakovic to break out a truly world-class counter at the very last minute, connecting with a top rope spinebuster and into the Feast Your Eyes to put himself into King of the Ring. Randy Orton had looked to teach Dijakovic that what goes around comes around, but that wasn't the case, as Dijakovic stood tall, but it would all fade away in an instant as we take you now to our moment of the week. King of the Ring, Dijakovic, no! No! I can't believe my eyes! This ain't happening! Oh, come on. Come on. Oh, come on, Dijakovic, please. Evil connects. And now the moonsault to add further to the plate. They were here after all. They were here all along. A truly somber way to end what had not only been a fantastic night of ECW action, but a fantastic week within the WWE as well. However, Dominik Dijakovic had cemented his qualification for the King of the Ring tournament and stands there along with 4 other men looking to win the prestigious tournament. A tournament that is certainly stacked to the brim already with athletes and is looking to have a few more added to it over the coming week. So what can we look forward to this coming week in WWE? Well, we're going to have another King of the Ring qualifier as Monday Night Raw will determine its 3rd and final King of the Ring slot between Daniel Bryan and one half of the Raw Tag Team Champions in the War Machine, Hanson. And that is not all. As we saw at the fallout of Off the Air, it will be Jazzy Gabbard and Jordan Grace going one-on-one in not only a grudge match, but a match that will be full of intensity and rage following up from last week's assault. On the blue brand, we will bear witness to a 6-man battle royal to determine who will be going to King of the Ring as well, as Damian Priest, Cody Rhodes, Bobby Lashley, Matt Riddle, Finn Balor, and Big E all vie for the position to enter the tournament. And on top of that, folks, for the first time in a number of weeks, the Rainmaker will be on SmackDown. Kazuchika Okada will be at the blue brand, and who knows just what could happen when the Rainmaker's in town. As for ECW, well, they wanted the opportunity to blow off some steam, and they've been given that chance. Tomohiro Ishii and Hiroki Goto will collide in a tag team matchup against the former ECW tag team champions, the DCC. And I imagine after the end of last week, that fire is only getting hotter. And as well as that, folks, the man responsible for one of the biggest upsets in recent memory will be at ECW. The new ECW television champion, Adam Cole, will be on the A Show this week. But now we're going to get to something that you've been waiting the whole show for and was announced earlier this week on SmackDown. After waiting for some time, we can finally give you an update on Jeff Cobb and the Machine Brian Cage following that brutal, unsanctioned match. It should come as no surprise that in a war that brutal, there were bound to be sacrifices, there were bound to be injuries, and that is certainly the case for both men. Despite coming out victorious, Brian Cage sustained a torn pectoral muscle that will require surgery, putting him out of action for a number of weeks, potentially even months. Meanwhile, the more serious injuries came from Jeff Cobb, suffering 2 ruptured discs in his back and a fractured vertebrate in his neck as a result of the powerbomb through the table at the closure of the end of the match. Both men will be out for some time, with Cobb's injury the most severe, perhaps as far as a year. Although this was the case, SmackDown General Manager Shawn Michaels and the Chairman of the WWE, Vince McMahon, have decided that both men will be receiving suspensions for their actions in the build-up to this match, including damage to WWE property and assaulting backstage staff, that will only be served once these 2 men are cleared for in-ring competition once again. Despite the actions in the build-up in the match, I think you will all join me, folks, in thanking these men for the war that they put on a number of weeks ago, and wish them a speedy recovery as well from the injury sustained. We cannot wait to see either man back in the WWE. Well, that'll do it for another edition of the Center of the Universe, folks. As always, if you enjoyed this, be sure to leave a like and a comment below to let me know what you thought was the best moment of the week and what you're looking forward to in the coming week. And while you're down there, be sure to look at the links as well to the Twitter, Twitch, and the Wiki page to keep yourself up to date in all things Universe. And be sure as well to look at that join button, where for just $2 a month, not only will you get an exclusive badge and emote next to your name in live premieres, but you will gain exclusive access to all Universe videos 48 hours before they go out to air. 2 weeks down and 2 to go. King of the Ring is getting closer, and the road to WrestleMania is heating up by the minute. Thank you guys for watching. Take care, guys, and ta-ra.